off by giving us some information in reference to your background, education, and that kind of information for the first 5 or 6 minutes.
Okay.
Then we'll come back and we'll have that second segment, and then we'll talk about poverty. As you indicated, this is the 50th anniversary of the war on poverty. We've been warring on poverty for the last 50 years officially in a real sense, because we designated it originally as what? The war on poverty. So we've been waging war on poverty for the last 50 years, and things really, things have gotten better in many, because it's where we started from. That's why they're so better. When you start from slavery, everything that happens beyond slavery is an improvement. You see, but let's talk about it from that perspective.
Well, I grew up in Camden, Alabama, Wilcox County, Alabama, the so-called Alabama Black Belt, and I actually grew up in poverty, and I was educated in the public schools of Camden, Alabama, which was segregated at that time. 1955 to up roughly 1963. I was in elementary and junior high school, and in 1967, I graduated from Camden Academy High School, and from there, 1967 to 71, Talladega College in Talladega, Alabama. From there, I matriculated at Crozer Theological Seminary in Rochester, New York, graduating with an MA and a Master of Divinity in Theology in 1973 and 1975. And in 1980, I received a PhD in American Religion from Northwestern University. But I became interested in Dr. King's ideas about poverty in the 1960s when I was really in high school, because he talked a lot about poverty, and I grew up in poverty. I was the son of a housewife and an uneducated Baptist preacher who had 4 churches, and who worked at the sawmill stacking lumber and was also a farmer. So my father was tri-vocational, trying to make a life for his family.
We know many of us.
So like I would say that my interest in Dr. King's ideas about poverty stemmed back to the 1960s when I was in high school and the civil rights movement had started, and I realized that, hey, he's talking about us. Because you're talking about people who are struggling to make ends meet, the least of these, as Dr. King called them. So I became interested in his ideas about poverty, and when I went to college, of course, I read more about Dr. King and understood that this problem of poverty was a major component of his civil rights agenda. He was very interested, and a lot of people don't realize that. They think of him in terms of his fight for basic civil constitutional rights, the right to vote, but very few realize that he had...
It went way back.
Beyond that.
Into the cotton field.
Exactly, to look at these people who were the least of these in the cotton fields, in the sawmills, and he was actually fighting for economic justice and the elimination of poverty.
Very good. And so in a real sense, after this 50-year war on poverty, we still find that poverty is as entrenched in a real sense as ever. Now, I think as we've indicated, things have gotten better. We got a black president, we had a black president, et cetera, et cetera. And a large number of individuals have moved up. The two of us have moved up in a real sense. But nevertheless, that same poverty that Africans, that people struggle with all poor people. You didn't have to be black to be faced with poverty. All you had to do was to be an American and not have a way out.
And the resources that others had. And a lot of people fail to realize that Dr. King's struggle against poverty was never a race-based movement. He always said that there were poor whites as well. There were poor Hispanics, poor people of all races, and, you know.
Let's take this second commercial break, and we'll be back with